Welcome to We Know Marketing, We Promise, the podcast where strategy meets conversation. We're Naoma and Kelsey, two agency owners who live and breathe branding and marketing. We're here to share real stories, smart strategies, and fresh ideas to help you build a brand that actually works. So grab a seat and your favorite drink and let's dive in.
Okay, so today we're talking about
Top 10 mistakes that we've made as business owners.
I don't even know where to start. I have so many.
I think this is it. I feel the tension a little bit in my chest because this is something we don't like to talk about. So I think we need to normalize making mistakes.
See, I have no tension. I'm like, I messed up.
Like,
that's normal.
She's like, I feel great. I don't have perfectionism in my blood at all.
I do have perfectionism, but I just know that you cannot plan a business perfectly and then expect it to go as planned, because that's never going to happen.
No, it won't.
So I think I've just gotten that in my head of like, you really cannot plan things well. You can only think of step 1 and 2, and then if that aligns, then great. And if it doesn't align, then leave it.
Yeah. The hard part is like going into the details of mistakes I've made, because it's not there's like still shame around these things, because it has been a long time. There probably previously was, but it's like clients are listening to this. So it's like, oh man, but they know because they've been running their own businesses. They know that mistakes are bound to happen. So today we're going to share with you your 10 and my 10.
No, I think we should just do 10.
Okay.
I will say the first one, so today's my birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. But 6 years ago, over my birthday weekend, I was having margaritas.
Always.
It's a theme, y'all.
She's always having margaritas.
I was having margaritas on a patio, and I was getting text from a client at the time that was threatening to sue me.
Oh, why?
Because I had promised deliverables, but they had taken so long to get back to us or to pay. So like we weren't on schedule, which I had said like, we'll have it done by this date.
Yeah.
And obviously we didn't have it done by that date, but we did get it all done. And she refused to pay me at the end, like the last half. And so I kept asking for it. And, my bad that I had given away all the files. Like, so she had all the files, I had no leverage.
Yeah.
And then I kept asking for the final payment, and she said, I'm not going to pay you because you didn't deliver on the time that you had said.
Wow.
So
you didn't ever get paid?
No, I did.
You did. Okay.
Because I hired an attorney.
So what was the mistake in that?
The mistake was I didn't have really good contracts. I had no clear, I said, this is what I'm promised. My contract was 2 pages. Gotcha. I was like, this is what I'm going to give you, and I'll give it to you by this date, and here's everything. And I hadn't accounted for what we do is highly collaborative. So if I can do stuff by a certain date, but I need feedback from you. And so I hadn't accounted for that.
Yeah, you hadn't accounted for like the partnership piece.
Yeah. So I hired an attorney, got way better contract. Shout out, Tina. You're awesome. And she, I made no money back because all that money went to paying the attorney.
Right.
But for me, it was on principle.
It's worth it. Yeah.
It was on principle. And so they threatened to email me again and say, you are getting an attorney involved. I'm going to just come to your office and pay you. And so I forwarded that to my attorney, and she was like, actually, you cannot have any more contact with my client at this point. Now we are in attorney negotiation, so all contact must come through me.
Wow.
And I was like so incredibly thankful for that. So I didn't have to deal with that anxiety. They had to go up to her office and pay her. And Tina was like, absolutely no credit card and no check. I need cash.
Wow.
Because she's like, I don't want you to rescind, say that this was a incorrect, like a fraud.
So then after that, you tightened up your contract and you decided.
I hired Tina to get my contract.
Until you give final payment, I'm not giving you the final files.
Yeah. And it's come to a few times where we've been in negotiations with a potential client. And there was one client that I walked away from like $10K because they wanted to remove a lot of the things in my contract that I was like, this is to protect myself. I'm not going to give you stuff without final payment. I'm Like this is just standard in my line of business. And
Yeah.
they were not wanting to budge. They wanted to have all the power. And I was like, absolutely not. And I was pregnant. And I said no to 10K.
Wow. Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. I think my story for that would be probably the opposite, because I basically like would do work, and then I started like only getting payment up front. So that was my main thing, is my mistake was not getting the payment up front, but I would end up doing all this work for a client, and then they didn't want to pay, or they didn't pay, and I would just not get paid. Like, I didn't hire an attorney. I didn't do anything about it. I just like ate the cost of it, because sucks. A lot of it was my time.
Yeah.
But especially when I was just a solopreneur. But now I feel like now that I have a team, I also fight a little bit differently with things like that. And I'm very upfront in those meetings. And that was like, I was just such a baby when I'm having those meetings and setting the contract. And it's like, here's the deliverables that you're going to get, and here's how much you pay. But those timelines were everything I do is very collaborative, same, like, and they're not getting back to me. So now I have like, even if I have not heard a response from you in this amount of time, like, payment is still due, and this, and this. But yeah. And then I had, within the last 2 years, someone helped me, an attorney, actually write my contracts. And that's like for any contractors I bring on, W-2 employees, and clients. Yeah. So we have the 3 services. All of those have like their own contracts as well. So, and we do like master service, and then we also have like working orders. Yep. So we can continue to do projects for people.
Yeah. Ours is just named differently. We have the the client agreement, which is, this is how you work with us. This is how you interact with us. This is just, kind of basic things. And then we have the schedule, which is like, hey, this is what you're actually paying for, and this is like what we're promising to deliver, and this is the price. But we have no timeline on that. No dates.
Exactly. Yeah. Which that kind of sucks, because you could like be in a project for
2 years, which I am now. Thank you.
Oh no.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that was kind of my first big mistake, is not really having great contracts, and then potentially getting sued over my birthday weekend. It was so terrifying.
That is really scary.
And I think I was turning 30. So it was just like, it was bad, but learned my lesson.
Yep.
And then also, just to tag on to what Kelsey's saying, is like getting money up front. I like to tell every person who runs a business to think of yourself as a gumball machine. Like, the gumball don't drop until the 25 cents gets put in.
Yeah.
So don't do work until you get paid.
That's right. Yeah. That's probably one of my biggest mistakes was, obviously not having the contract, but then mostly being so eager to get work done, and eager comes across as desperate. So then they know that you're kind of in like a vulnerable spot, because people can feel that out, and then they can take advantage of you.
For sure.
Which sucks. And you learn and choose to do differently.
Yeah.
You also don't know what you need to have in that contract until you make a mistake like that. So
for sure.
You could have still had an attorney put together contracts when day one of starting your business, and you still would have had some type of experience like that, I believe, because there was a lesson to be learned in it.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And we have not had really any issues since we've had like the contracts in place now. So that's really beneficial. I think some other mistakes we did, and this may be a little controversial, is like we always took credit card for everything. And I know a lot of people love credit card, but at the end, I was just paying so much in credit card fees. And my business coach, Katie, was like, why are you taking credit cards? And I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to make it easy to work with me.
Yeah.
But easy to work with me, I'm giving away like part of my profit to Visa, and that didn't really sit well. So that was, I wouldn't say that that's a mistake, but that was something that I learned. And then it was really hard to have that conversation of like, we're not taking credit cards anymore. So one thing that I learned from that is, if you make it a company policy and you just say like, policy says like, I don't take a credit card if it's over $500. Most people do not. I've not had one person complain.
Yeah. I actually got an email this week from one of my vendors, and they did it really well. They sent out an email saying that they were switching to a program called Anchor, which I know about because I've looked into it also so that I can get away from doing credit card fees. And she was just like, we're going to be switching to this. We're happy to keep you on credit card, but this is kind of the additional fee that will come in, and we're happy to also help you hook up your ACH so that it'll work through Anchor. So their messaging was great. They did a great job with that email. It was very clear. It was also kind. I didn't feel like, oh, you're so annoying for like not eating my credit card fees. But I also understand differently because I run my own business. Yeah. And so it's like, I don't want to be paying $900 a month in fees. That's how much one of my months was, which was insane. Crazy. I was like, I lost $900 to Visa. What?
Like, that's wild. Yeah. So
I'm like, that's a no for me. So we're switching over to doing more ACH also. We have some things that are like recurring on a credit card payment, and those fees are lower though when we're doing much bigger projects. I've definitely done ACH. So
yeah, I think for us it was more of just like if we're getting business cards and stuff like that, like just pay with a credit card. I get that. But if we're doing like a $25,000 website or something, like I'm not gonna take a credit card.
Right. It is nice when you get the never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. So the mistake I thought of when you were talking, which had nothing to do with, I don't know what sparked it. Maybe it's a conversation I was having. But my mistake is not firing a client sooner.
Ooh, I've made that mistake too. Yeah, I've kept them on, and well, you can tell your story, and then I'll piggyback off yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, many, many times I've worked with people that do not align with me on core values. Thinking back to when I was pregnant with Esther, literally going into labor, my water had broke, and I had told the client, like, I was the main client account manager at the time, obviously. And so I had texted all of my clients like, hey, I'm going, into labor. I'm going to be out. Your stuff is taken care of for this amount of time. I had an assistant at that time. I told the assistant, whatever. So it's like the first thing I do when my water breaks is like figure out how to get my business in order so that I can have time to have a baby, which is ridiculous, but so spot on. And she texted back and like wanted to gripe in that moment about a specific post or something. And I was like, this is insane. I just told her I'm on the way to the hospital. I'm having contractions. My water has broke, and she is now bringing up issues, from the last like 2 weeks that had built up. And she was kind of a client that like needed a ton of structure because she was like yanking us around all over. And she's like, well, I like this idea and I want to do this and I want to do that. And so I knew I needed to fire her. And it came down to the same thing with attorneys being involved. Like when I fired her, I was actually outside of our actual agreement, but it was such a really terrible relationship that I was like, I'm willing to get an attorney involved. And so I sent it over to my attorney and was like, what do you think about this? I think she's broken the contract in these different ways. I really want out of this client relationship. He's like, yeah, go ahead and give her 30 days notice. You have everything that you need. And she was actually married to an attorney. So he like came at me with emails for months about like why we needed to like finish out the contract. And it was, I was like, is there a clause in the contract for like emotional abuse, verbal abuse from a client? Because that should get you out of a contract.
I have in my contract that I can cancel a contract at any notice. No rhyme or reason. I do not have to explain anything to you, but I have the right to cancel. And so do they.
Right.
There is a termination fee if they do it.
Okay. And then what's your side of it? Like,
15-day notice, and you get all the work that we've done up to then.
Oh, okay.
That you've approved.
Okay. So you're giving them what you've done so far. It's not like they've given a deposit and like, you're like, I'm done.
If we've done no work.
But it's also like, we think good. We want to like think the best of someone. Yeah. We don't want to think the worst of someone.
There's no malintent. Like that's not,
so it's not like you're going to just no explanation. I'm done.
No, there's usually is an explanation, and they kind of know it's coming. They kind of know it's coming. I've had to fire 2 clients. It was horrible, but I felt such immense relief after it.
Me too. Yeah.
I didn't have the same experience as you.
That was back in 2020. So
I mean,
I'm so glad I've grown. because I fired a client on the spot last year. Like,
yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Disrespected me and one of my employees. And I was like,
bye.
Very kindly asked him to leave, and he wouldn't. I was going to give him another shot to reschedule. And I was like, no, I have to put my foot down here.
Yeah. For us, it was more, I mean, I've had to let clients go, not fully fire. So a few years ago when we really started to pivot more into the strategy and the branding, and we were kind of doing all sorts of stuff, I was just like, we're not doing this anymore. And so I was like, hey, you know what? The contract ends this month or this, whatever this month is coming. And we're not offering this service anymore. Like, this is not our forte. This is not.
Is that when you're doing social media?
Yes. Hated it. And still hate it. So I mean, we were just really honest. Like, we're not offering the service anymore. You're honestly not getting the best service in this department from us. Like, this is not our secret sauce. This is not what we're good at.
Yeah.
So we're not offering this anymore. Here are some people that we recommend. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think the only reason I've fired people is because of like core values misalignment that comes to the surface at some point during the relationship. There's stress in their personal life or something like that. And so I start to see like true colors, I think, show.
We only had to do that once in that regard. And it was not a person, but it was an organization. And I just saw the writing on the wall. So for me, it was like something was going down with that organization. And I just knew that Nova Studio would be thrown under the bus for their hot mess. And so to protect my reputation and my studio, I just said, you know what? We're going to bow out. Here's all the stuff. We wish you nothing but success. Happy to talk things out when this all gets cleared up, but we're not going to be in the middle of this or picking like we're not in high school. So,
right. Yeah.
And that honestly, that was so at that, the really funny thing is like at that time I was getting kind of approached by some people to come and be a creative director at their agency.
Yeah.
And I had a 1-year-old at the time. And so the thought of just having stable income and like health insurance and 401k and benefits sounded so nice. And then this happened and I was like, I like to dictate where my talent goes and who I work with. And I was like, I'm just going to keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay. So then a mistake I think both of us can relate to is spending too much time and too much money early on and wasting it. What's the area you feel like you spent the most time or money on early on in business? And that was a mistake.
Listen, this is, and I don't know if this is a mistake, but this is just like a very bad Naoma habit. And I fall for the freaking courses.
I think this is 4, right?
I don't know.
I think this is 4.
I fall for the courses.
She loves the courses.
I fall for the training. I fall for the experts. I love it. I love it. But I have seriously bought like 4 courses and I have not done one. I did a module of 1 and it's probably like 20 grand. I'm not even joking. It's so
for
bad.
all 4 of them or just that one?
No, for all 4.
Okay. Oh my.
So
that's a Naoma habit.
Yeah, don't tell my husband.
You need to have Peely or Harrison as like a in between before you buy any other courses.
So, and I sent you one the other day. I was like, we should go to this. And then we're like, no. We need to put our blinders on and like really do the work that we already know what we're supposed to be doing.
A lot of things.
And it's more of like, I think I always, the time when I fall for those is I have a problem and they say that they can solve it, but then there's no accountability or it's too fast of an accountability. Like that's where I've fallen into. Like, it's like, okay, we're meeting up every week. I'm like, I do not have time to meet up every week.
Yeah.
But every month I can. And then they're like, it's people who are like fresh into business. So they're starting their business pretty like right now. And I'm like, I'm a few years ahead that I can't, like, I don't relate to somebody who's just starting out and their problem is not my problem. And I kind of fall for that. So I have not bought a course in over a year.
Yay.
So I'm pretty much saying no more courses until I finish the ones that I have or there's some sort of true accountability.
Yeah.
And that it's really going to solve a problem in my business. But right now I've been focusing on taking everything that I've learned and going. Now, where I've spent the most time, this is a mistake I have. It's not really the wasting of time, but it's more of the, if I'm getting bored or I don't have a ton to do, I always have stuff to do, but if I don't have like a huge list, I start tinkering with stuff that should not be tinkered with. This is a huge mistake. And this is when I know things are not, when I'm too slow and I need to be focusing on other stuff, because I start tinkering with our process or our onboarding, or I'm looking at software. I get really intrigued by software too.
Yeah.
I'm such a sucker. Honestly, like if you have software or training, I mean, hi.
I love it. I want to hear about it. No, stay away. She doesn't need distractions. She just put her head down and work.
Yeah. So I think that's what, I don't know if that's a mistake, but that is definitely something I've fallen for. And I think other entrepreneurs probably fall for this too.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Because you reach a certain level of pain that if someone says they can fix it, you're going to
You'll spend money on it.
You will. You absolutely will. And depending on the amount of money you have and how much pain you're in is what kind of course you would buy or what kind of conference you would go to. Or, yeah, I've been there, but I'm not a course person. Like that's never been something I'll buy. I love softwares. Like we use so many softwares, so many. They all have their purpose. And it's not like we're buying them and not using them. We really do use them.
Yeah.
But I definitely love softwares. I would say early on, biggest waste of time and money. Gosh, I think probably biggest mistake early on would be like not getting coaching and just trying to figure it out myself. So I would read a lot of books, which I think I learned a ton. I listened to a ton of podcasts, and I didn't really have the money to pay for a coach anyways.
Yes.
Which is fine. But that is, when you were talking about that, I was like, man, like I wasted so much time on doing it all myself and and I really like isolated myself in my entrepreneur journey for a long time. And so doing it alone and then also without a coach, like I didn't have peers or friends and I didn't have a coach. So, but when I'm thinking about wasting money, golly, probably like equipment. Like I love to buy cameras and tripods and microphones and the nicest computer. Like I love technology. So I'm like, let's buy all of the Apple things and I need to own all of them. And so that's like, yeah, we don't really need all of that. We don't need the really nice Apple desktop when you're making, $1,500 a month as a business. Like the computer is that much.
Yeah.
So let's chill. I'd say that was for sure a mistake. And I still get, like you're saying, it's a Naoma habit. My Kelsey habit is like spending without like always being wise with spending on technology or anything like that. Like
I'm the same way.
It's like, oh, it's a shiny object, especially in business, because it's like this will help the business. And like I need a really nice this or that. And I also like the way Macs look better than PCs. And so there's an aesthetic piece there that has vanity tied to it, So that's probably my biggest mistake and a common recurring habit that's not great.
Yeah, I don't have, but you're also so entwined with like social, like producing the stuff. So I'm not, I think if I was in your shoes, I'd also be buying equipment like crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, it's worth every penny. Yeah. And it's like, probably not. And then I lose crap. Like that's the other thing, is just my personality has cost me a ton of money because I lose equipment that I buy.
Stacy, can we write off personality disorders?
Kidding. I'm like, literally, we don't even have the video set up properly today because I lost a cord. So.
And that's a wrap on this episode of We Know Marketing, we promise. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your business bestie. Want more? Follow us for updates, behind the scenes, and plenty of marketing gems.